Comments that were made by Chief Justice Zondo yesterday was really, I think, expressing his frustration at the lack of urgency in dealing with the recommendations that come from his report. It is exactly a year down the line, as you say, and we have to be honest and say that very little has been done, both in terms of the prosecutions of those implicated in the state capture report, although a number of cases have been enrolled. The ID is investigating a number of aspects of that. But again, I think we would all agree that progress has not been as quick as many South Africans would like. And secondly, in relation to the structural recommendations that the Chief Justice made in his report, again, progress has been very slow. We saw President Ramaphosa in October last year table to Parliament his implementation plan in respect of those recommendations. It was a long list of what government intended to do on a various range of matters, but very little concrete has actually been achieved since then. Processes, again, have been put in place, similarly with Parliament's response to the Commission's report. And Parliament's response was also to say, well, various committees will deal with aspects of it. And, despite Parliament's, response to the Chief Justice late last night, it hasn't really addressed the concerns that the Chief Justice Zondo raised. What exactly has Parliament done? They say that they've asked the various committees to report on a quarterly basis, but I've not seen any such reports that have been tabled from those committees. So we really have no idea what exactly is being done. Just to take one example, one of the key issues was that came out of the report was additional and protection for whistleblowers. A year down the line, we have no greater protection for whistleblowers. They continue to be victimized and targeted, as we saw just yesterday with news reports about a senior official in the city of Joburg being dismissed for blowing the whistle. So I think the Chief Justice's frustration is fully justified. It seems to demonstrate that the President is not taking this seriously enough, that he is not giving it the urgency that it requires, and that the country needs to be given some comfort that we have heeded the lessons of state capture, that steps are being taken. Yes, we must accept that some of those processes will take time. Legislative changes will take time, but we want to see a little bit more urgency. For example, the President committed to establishing the investigating directorate as a permanent structure, 9 months ago when he submitted his report to Parliament. We still don't have that legislation before Parliament as yet. Whistleblowing legislation was supposed to be come through by, I think, the end of March. Again, we've seen nothing of that. So this really, feeds the frustration and feeds the perception that government is not interested in actually implementing these recommendations.
And we have on the line now Parliamentary spokesperson Moloto Mothapo. Moloto, good morning and thank you so much for making time for us. In that statement that was released by Parliament yesterday, you speak about the remarks that were made by the Chief Justice as being an attack, and also that it also goes against the principle of separation of powers. Why would you say that?
Good morning, Eldrin, and to the viewers as well. The utterances of the Chief Justice are quite problematic because they seek to encroach on what is the terrain of Parliament. And there is, a standing principle in terms of our Constitution and our democratic makeup of the doctrine of separation of powers, whereby, the three arms of the state need given space to do their job without the interference from the head or from each other. And by going out and without evidence and without fact to wage a public political attack against Parliament, the Chief Justice, as the head of the judicial arm of the state, he has really violated that principle. He has encroached on the work of Parliament. Parliament is very busy with the implementation of the recommendation of the State Capture Commission, which he shared. And even before this report could be submitted to Parliament, we had already initiated the systems on how we are going to deal with them. And we had already made some interventions to ensure that the key issues that he has raised are actually implemented. What he was supposed to do, if he has consent, is really to seek audience with the presiding officers of Parliament so that he can be briefed. And he knows very well those channels, and if he asked, he would have prioritized that kind of a meeting because he is the head of an important arm of the state. But to wage a political attack that is without fact, to say that we have done nothing, as if some of those issues have got deadlines from the Commission that we can be judged to say that we have not done anything. It is quite problematic, and really, and secondly also, his utterances undermine the integrity of the judiciary as well, because you have got a very important issue here whereby he is publicly sponsoring his own personal views with regard to his desired electoral system of the country. Whereas at the same time that he is presiding over a case that is before the Constitutional Court regarding the challenge to the passage of the Electoral Amendment Act. Now, how are we going to be sure that he's going to bring his unbiased and fair mind, impartial mind to that particular case? And the issues of, they are part of the political debate, the issues of whether Parliament is implementing the recommendations or not. In future, there might be another organization that comes before the Constitutional Court and say, we believe that Parliament has not done, for whatever reason, implementation of this Commission report. How is he going to be able to adjudicate on such matters? So we are saying that if utterances are a political attack, they are without foundation, they are not grounded on any facts, because there is a lot that we've been doing, and I can give quite a number of examples. For instance, in terms of the strengthening of oversight over the executive, by the time that we received the first batch of this report, we had already initiated a process of strengthening accountability by members of the executive in terms of answering questions. You will know that previously you had the members of the executive who were not really responding to questions within the time frame that has been allocated to them. And now we have put more harsher sanctions against any member of the executive who violated that particular rule, which includes public dressing down in the House. So that is one of the interventions. There is an intervention with regard to how is Parliament conducting oversight over the President. Is there a committee to do that? And we have been conducting research with regard to that. And I can tell you now that even last week, we had the delegation of the Rules Committee visiting the countries on study tour, which have been for years having this kind of mechanism to hold the presidency accountable, with a view to make a decision and some kind of a mechanism that can actually bring that recommendation to fruition. You will recall that the executive had submitted their program of action in terms of how they are going to realize the recommendations of the Zondo Commission. We have given, the Rules Committee has given all these committees that are responsible for conducting oversight over the departments and these ministries. And we have said that they must account on a quarterly basis with the work that they are doing, and they've been doing so. At the appropriate time, we will make such kind of reports public so that the public can be able to see the work that we've been doing. So we are saying that his attack is unfair.
Yeah.
He is prejudging, and it is not based on facts.
So just quickly on that particular part, Moloto, now you've taken it a step further. Now you're speaking about political attacks as well. And we know what the Judicial Conduct Committee requires of judges, that they must not embroil themselves in political controversy. Will Parliament be seeking to lodge a complaint with the JSC at all? Well, there are channels. Is that we have been forced, to use the media to publicly respond because of the public utterances of the Chief Justice. And I believe that once the presiding officers, because they have been in the Speaker's Forum in Joburg since yesterday and with the final day being today, I'm certain that they will make some serious reflections on his utterances, and they might require a meeting with him so that they can raise their concerns. Okay, but for now, no complaint that will be lodged against the Chief Justice?
No such decision yet.
Okay, thank you so much for your time. Moloto Mothapo there is the spokesperson for Parliament.